Namaste and good morning to all of you. So let's start the class with some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamya. Om Sehna Vavatu, Sehna Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi. तेजस्वी नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्वेषावहि. ओम शांति शांति शांति. Navratris, they are going to start pretty soon. So today's topic is the 9 avatars of Goddess Durga. Okay, we are all familiar with the philosophical reason why we celebrate these 9 days, which is called Navratri. Philosophically, it really means that we have to walk on the path of dharma, the goodness, the righteousness, and get rid of the adharmic, the evil, or the unrighteous behavior. And philosophically, those 9 days have been divided into 3. 3 days for Goddess Durga, 3 days for Goddess Saraswati, and 3 days for Goddess Lakshmi. Okay, so that's how some devotees, they do that. So the very first 3 days, they are about Goddess Durga. Try to get rid of the bad behavior, any kind of a bad propensity. Okay, we are supposed to pay attention to it and slowly get rid of it. Then cultivate some good qualities. That is Goddess Lakshmi. When the bad has been taken out from a field and the good has been poured there, then you can really grow something worthwhile. So last 3 days, Goddess Saraswati, the knowledge. See, knowledge can take root only if the soil has been prepared. So this soil, we are talking about soil of our mind. Negativity out, the soil has been fertilized fully, then plant the seed by worshipping Goddess Saraswati. So this is normally I talk about Navratris. But today we are going to talk about the 9 avatars of Goddess Durga. 9. That's why it's said Navratri, 9 days. So the festival of Navratri is celebrated to cherish the victory of dharma over adharma. These 9 days are associated with the battle that was fought between Goddess Durga and the demon king Mahishasura. So throughout these 9 days, the 9 avatars of Goddess known as Navdurga is worshipped each day, dedicated to one incarnation. So let us find out the story behind each avatar. Some of these names you might be familiar with, some you may not be. Okay. The first day, Shailaputri. I'm going to tell you how it's written also. S-H-A-I-L, Shail, Putri, P-U-T-R-I. Putri means daughter. So Shailaputri. So which means the daughter of the mountains. So she was born to the mountain king, Himvan. And she is also commonly known as Parvati. And this is the first incarnation of Navdurga. She is depicted having two hands, holding a trident on her right hand and a lotus on her left hand. Being the wife of Lord Shiva, she rides on his bull. And what is the name of the bull? Nandi. In her previous birth, the goddess was born as Sati. And Sati was the daughter of Prajapati Daksha, to eventually marry Shiv and fulfilled the role as the universal mother to nourish all beings. We remember that story that despite her father's disapproval, Sati married Shiva. When Daksh organized a yajna, he invited all the gods except Shiv and Parvati. It's a very commonly known story. Parvati, unknown of her father's arrogance and hateful motives, reached there without an invitation. Shiv did say, don't go there, but she said, it's my father's house. I can go there without invitation. But when she reached there, she was not welcome. Daksh began insulting Shiv. Sati, being a devoted wife, could not tolerate this and sacrificed herself into the yajna fire. To fulfill the superior motive of the universal welfare, Shakti had to take birth again in the form of Shailaputri. To marry Shiv again, that was an eternal love, and bring him out of his ascetics life into the life of Grihastha, a family man. But he was into deep samadhi. It took thousands and thousands of years of penance and sacrifice for Parvati to have Shiv again. So Shailaputri, okay, the daughter of a mountain king, Himvan. Then the second is, or the second avatar, holding a rosary in her right hand and a kamandalo. Kamandalo is a water pot in her left hand. And the name of this avatar is Brahmacharini. So Brahmacharini signifies tapasya or penance. So after the death of Sati, Shiv abstained himself from all material desires, went into a state of meditation that lasted for, they say, millions of years actually. When Parvati grew up, sage Narad told her that the only way for her to attain Shiv was to perform severe penance. That kind of a penance which will exceed her husband's penance. So you got to do more than what Shiv is doing. But determined to marry Shiv in this birth as well, she began her tapasya, giving up food, then giving up water, and then living only on air. Her penance lasted for thousands of years. In the end, Brahma appeared in front of Parvati and said that no one had ever observed tap the way she did. Following this, Parvati came to be known as Ma Brahmacharini. Later on, Shiv accepted her as his wife. This avatar of Ma Durga teaches penance, devotion, restraint, and solitude. Okay. Upon seeing Parvati's strong resolve to attain him, Shiv gives in and accepts to marry Parvati. On the day of the wedding, Shiv reached King Himwan's palace in the most terrorizing form. His body was smeared in ash and snakes all over his body, and in the matted locks of his unkempt hair. He brought with himself the strangest wedding procession, which we call Bharat, consisting of ghosts, aghoris, sages, ascetics, and every being unimaginable. Upon seeing this sight, Parvati's mother and relatives were left in shock, mostly out of terror. To avoid any embarrassment to her family or to Shiv, Parvati transformed herself into a terrifying form. And that form is the third avatar, Chandraghanta. Chandra, Chandra, Ghant, Chandraghanta. In this form, her complexion is golden. She came riding a lion and possessed 10 arms. 9 of her arms carried weapons. Nine of her arms carried weapons, while the 10th had raised to bless her devotees. She married Shiv in this form, and the day of their marriage is celebrated as a Mahashivratri, which was a few weeks ago. Mahashivratri. Okay, so the fourth avatar is called Kushmanda. Kushmanda, Kushmanda. Ma Kushmanda is worshipped on the 4th day of Navratri. It is believed that Kushmanda is the ultimate source of life. When the universe was non-existent means unmanifested, and darkness was everywhere, she created the universe with her smile. The universe was then filled with light, and she began to live in the core of the sun. The gods she created then went on to create other universes and living beings. Okay, so she is the one who started just with her smile. Kushmanda possesses 8 arms and rides a lion that evokes fearlessness in her devotees. Because normally we are afraid of these beastly animals. But she says, I am riding it. Don't be afraid. She bestows all pleasures, and her worship brings prosperity, power, and salvation. Fifth avatar of Durga Ma is Skandamata. Skanda, Skand Mata, Mata. So the fifth avatar literally means mother of Skand. And Skand is another name of Lord Kartikeya. In South, it's also known as Murugan. She rides a lion and has 4 arms. 2 of her arms carry lotus. 1 is raised in blessing, while the 4th holds her son, Kartikeya. When Shiv became detached from the worldly affairs upon the death of Sati, demon Tarkasur had wreaked havoc on the gods. The demon had a boon that only the son of Shiv could kill him. Fearing that Shiv may never have a child, the gods rushed to Vishnu for help. Vishnu assured that Parvati is destined to be the wife of Shiv. Upon the severe penance of Parvati, when Shiv agrees to marry her, they combine their energies to produce a fiery seed. Agni, the god of fire, was given the responsibility to carry the seed to Sarvan lake. But Agni could not bear the heat of the seed. Durga, taking the form of water, carries the seed to the lake in the Sarvan forest. Later, the six-faced Kartikeya takes birth and grows up to be the commander-in-chief of the army of the gods, killing Tarkasur in the battle. Sixth day is devoted to Ma Katyayani, Katyayani, Katyayani. Being one of the most worshipped forms of Durga Ma, Katyayani is worshipped on the sixth day of the Navratri. And this is the form which is often referred to as Durga. She took birth as the daughter of a sage, Katyayani, and came to be known as Katyayani. When the demon Mahasura, or Mahishasura, also called, was creating trouble for the gods, the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, along with the other gods, combined their powers and weapons and summoned Katyayani. To know about the various weapons of Durga and how she got them, there's a lot of detail in the scriptures about that. But she armed herself with all those weapons, proceeded towards the Vindhya mountain where Mahishasura lived and killed him. So she is also known as a Mahishasur Mardane, the one who killed Mahishasur. Seventh day is devoted to Kaalratri, Kaalratri, Kaalratri. Kaal refers to death, and Ratri means night. So Ma Kaalratri is the one who brings an end or death to anything that is associated with evil or darkness. Kaalratri. She is more commonly known as Kali, and she is worshipped on the seventh day. Kaalratri is the most terrorizing form of Durga. And the most common form often shows Kali as black, and Kali does mean black also, naked, with angry red sunken eyes, wearing skulls around her neck as jewelry, and limbs around her waist. That is the form. There is a story that Rakta Bij was a demon, Asur, who had been given a boon by Lord Brahma, that every time a drop of his blood fell on the ground, a new version of his own would be created. And he was a demon, so he could multiply himself. So having received this boon, he made the life of people and gods miserable. Hence the gods reached out to Goddess Durga or Shakti for help. Armed with all the weapons, the goddess charged at the demon. But as soon as she wounded him with her sword and his blood fell on the earth, the demon multiplied. With more attempts at killing Raktabij, the demon kept on multiplying. Huge armies of Raktabij were formed by the drops of blood which fell on earth. She got enraged. The Devi took the infuriated form of Kali. That's where that form came about. She went on to slay each demon with the sword in her hand and collected their blood in her bowl and drank it immediately. Soon she finished the whole army of Raktabij, and only the real Raktabij was left. Then she slayed him down and drank his blood till he fell down lifeless. So this is the story of, that's why you see all those skulls and the limbs and the eyes like that. Okay, so it's like it to protect the people. The God has to do these kind of acts too. Otherwise, that Raktabij was creating a terror everywhere. Not only among the human beings, but among the Devatas also. Because when they become so big and so strong, the strength in a devil's mind is no good. 8th day, Mahagauri. So Mahagauri is worshipped on the 8th day. The story of the Mahagauri has many versions. I'm going to tell you 2 versions of this. First of all, Maha means great and Gauri means white or fair. In the first version, upon killing Raktabij, Parvati was left with a skin as dark as night. That lasted a long time. Parvati went through penance to attain her old form of feminine beauty and was advised by Brahma to take bath in the Mansarovar. That's a river in the Himalaya. When she did so, she shed her dark skin, and this skin took up a female form named Kaushiki that went on to kill the demon Shumb and Nishumb. That's another side story. But Parvati regained beauty. This time with a complexion so fair that led to everyone referring to her as Mahagauri. And in the second version of this story is that as a result of Parvati's severe penance of thousands of years that led Shiv to marry her, her body was covered with dirt, mud, insects, and she was down to being a skeleton with no flesh. Pleased by her devotion, Shiv bathes her in the holiest Ganga that flew from the locks of his matted hair. And that Ganga from Lord Shiva's hair nourished her body. She emerged as a Mahagauri, as white as a jasmine flower. 9th day, Siddhidatri, Siddhidatri, Siddhidatri. So the last day is the Adi Shakti avatar of Durga as a Siddhidatri. She existed as pure energy and had no physical form. Lord Rudra worshipped her for creating the universe, and she appeared from the left half of Shiva. That's why she and Shiva represent the duality of the universe in the form of masculine and feminine energies. So Siddhidatri is that. They unite to form Ardh Nariyeshwar. Devi Siddhidatri sits on a lotus and rides a lion. So these are the 9 names of Navdurga. Each day, each form is worshipped. But ultimate reason for all that is that we bring a penance, a devotion, a sacrifice into our own life too. That we learn to live a pure life. Life where we help others, where we live for others, that kind of a life. That's what we learn from all these avatars of Durga. So if we are worshipping Durga, if we are celebrating or fasting, because some people celebrate by fasting also. Some people do it by doing more meditations. Some people do it by serving others. But after the 9 days of celebrating Ma Durga, whether you do it each day with a different form, or whether you just look at the message what Ma Durga is giving it to us and live a life like that, ultimately there has to be more purity, more devotion, more living for others. Okay. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, so we'll end it over here and I'll try to answer your questions. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.